This is Dave. Dave spent 40 minutes comparing cooking oils to save $1.30. Dave drives 11 minutes across town for cheaper gas. Dave hasn't bought new shoes in 4 years. Dave does everything personal finance told him to do. And Dave is exactly as broke as he was 10 years ago. Meanwhile, and this is the part that's gonna sting, someone Dave went to school with, someone who buys the expensive coffee, who never checks the price of gas, who wastes money in ways that would give Dave a heart attack, just bought a house. Today, I'm going to show you why. Why the advice, just spend less, has a mathematical ceiling that nobody warns you about. Why cheap things are secretly the most expensive things you own. There's a famous theory about boots that will rewire how you shop forever. Why scientists found that being in saving mode all the time literally shrinks your mental capacity, not metaphorically, measurably, and the exact moment when frugality stops being a virtue and becomes the most respectable way to stay poor. And stay with me to the end, because I'll give you the replacement, a system I call rich frugality, where you'll probably end up spending less than you do now. On everything except 3 things. Those 3 things are the whole game. Let's start with the math problem hiding inside every piece of frugality advice ever given. I want you to actually understand this one. Say you take home $3,000 a month and your life costs $2,800. Classic advice says, cut harder. Okay, let's cut like a maniac. Cancel every subscription. Never eat out again. No coffee, no trips, generic everything. You become a monk, a legend of discipline. What did all that suffering buy you? Maybe $400 a month. And that's the heroic version. Here's the trap. Cutting has a floor. You can't cut below 0. You can't even cut close to 0 because rent exists, food exists, life exists. Every dollar you cut is harder than the last one. And there's a hard wall where the game just ends. Now flip the board, your income. What's the ceiling on that? There isn't one. Not a mathematical one. A negotiation can add $400 a month in one conversation. The same $400 that monk mode bought with a year of misery. A skill can add $1,000. A job change, often 20–30%. And here's the kicker nobody says out loud. The cut you make this year, you have to make again next year, forever, just to stay in place. The raise you earn this year pays you every year for the rest of your career, and compounds. One is a game you replay every January. The other is a game you win once and keep. So why does all the advice focus on the sponge? Honestly, because cutting feels available and earning feels scary. Cutting is in your control tonight. Earning requires a conversation with your boss, a skill you don't have yet, a risk. So we optimize the thing that's easy to optimize instead of the thing that's worth optimizing. Fine, says Dave, but saving money never hurts, right? A dollar saved is a dollar earned. Oh, Dave. Sometimes a dollar saved is $50 lost. Let me tell you about the boots. This comes from a novelist, Terry Pratchett, through a character called Captain Vimes, and economists loved it so much they named it the boots. Theory of socioeconomic unfairness. It goes like this. A good pair of boots costs $50. A cheap pair costs $10. Vimes, who's poor, can only ever afford the $10 boots. They leak. The cardboard soles wear through in a season or two, so he buys another $10 pair, and another. Meanwhile, a rich man buys the $50 boots once, and they last 10 years. Run the numbers. The poor man spends more money on boots than the rich man, and still has wet feet. That's the theory. Being broke is expensive. Cheap isn't a price category. Cheap is a subscription. You just don't see the renewal dates. And once you see it everywhere. The $40 shoes that die in 6 months. The bargain mattress that ruins your sleep, which ruins your work, which ruins your raise. The cheapest apartment, an hour and a half from your job, that quietly bills you 3 hours of commute every day for years. The affordable car with a repair habit. Now, important. This is not buy expensive stuff. Expensive is not the same as durable. Plenty of luxury is just cheap quality and better marketing, and we're doing a whole video on that trap. The rule is sharper. For things you use every single day, cost per use beats price tag. Every time. A $100 pair of boots you wear 1,000 times costs 10 cents a use. The $30 pair you replace twice a year costs more. Plus wet feet, plus the tax on your attention every time they fail you. Okay, so frugality can lose money, but money is the renewable resource. The next thing frugality burns doesn't come back. Every frugal habit has a hidden price tag, and it's written in a currency you can't print more of: hours. So let's do something almost nobody watching this has ever actually done. Let's calculate what your hour is worth. Take your monthly take-home pay, divide by the hours you actually work. Commute included, because that's work. Got your number? Say it lands around $15, $20 an hour. Hold that number in your hand. Now audit our friend Dave's greatest hits. Driving 20 minutes round trip for cheaper gas saves about $2. At $15 an hour, that trip cost $5. Dave paid $5 for the feeling of saving too. Now imagine those 3 hours hunting coupons for $11 in savings. If money is genuinely tight, if it's end of the month and the account is at 0, then your hour is worth whatever it saves. But this video is about the people who used frugality as a tool to get them through a situation. And now it's the cage that keeps them there. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Your hours are investment capital. 1 hour a day on a skill that raises your income, a certification, a portfolio, learning to negotiate, even just applying to better jobs, has an hourly return that starts high and compounds for decades. The wealthy figured this out, and it's the least secret in the world. They don't protect their money first. They protect their time, because time is the machine that makes the money. 2 researchers, an economist and a psychologist, Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir, spent years studying one question: what does not having enough do to the human mind? Their findings became a famous book called Scarcity. They studied sugarcane farmers in India. Same person, same intelligence, same life. They ran cognitive tests on both sides of that line. The result? Before the harvest, under money stress, the farmers scored dramatically worse. The researchers compared the effect to losing roughly a full night of sleep in mental performance. Same brain. The only thing that changed was scarcity. Here's the mechanism. Worrying about money is not free. Scarcity captures the mind. It pulls your attention into the emergency mode. This bill, this price, this dollar. And everything long-term, the skill, the plan, the opportunity, gets pushed out of the window of attention. And what's more interesting, you can be in this cage voluntarily. Extreme frugality recreates the psychology of scarcity, even when the scarcity is over. That's the cage. Dave doesn't just save like a broke person. Dave thinks like one, every hour, on purpose, and calls it discipline. So, cheap is a subscription. Your hours are being sold at $4, and the whole thing taxes the brain you need to escape. Then why does frugality feel so right? Why is it so hard to let go? Frugality is the only financial mistake that comes with moral applause. Think about it. Overspend, and the world calls you reckless. But oversave, refuse the vacation, wear the dead boots, agonize over oil. And what does everyone say? So disciplined, so responsible. Here's the test to know if it's happened to you. It's one question. What is this money for? If you have an answer, a house, a business, freedom at 55, your kid's education, you're saving. That's a strategy, and I salute you. If the answer is for later, just in case, because spending is bad, that's not a strategy anymore. That's fear. And fear compounds too. And the cruelest part? It doesn't set you free. The course that costs $800 that feels like spending, that is investing. The interview clothes, the flight to the conference where your next job is waiting. For the frugal brain, it is only price tags, never returns. Okay. Am I saying you should just spend? No. Because here's the plot twist I promised at the start. I'm frugal, aggressively, to this day, just at 3 different targets. Here's rich frugality. Rule 1. Be ruthless where the money actually lives. The big 3. Housing, transportation, food. For most people, those 3 eat well over half of every paycheck. Everything else, the coffee, the subscriptions, is dust by comparison. Getting the big 3 right, a home slightly below what you qualify for, a car you own instead of a payment you serve, eating out occasionally, can free up hundreds a month. That's not a latte. That's a life. Buy the coffee, guilt-free. Your attention is needed elsewhere. Rule 2. Cost per use beats price tag on anything you touch daily. Bed, boots, tools, chair. Buy once, buy right, cry once. Rule 3. The one that changes lives. The savings from rules 1 and 2 go to your personal growth. Use that money for skills that raise your rate, tools that multiply your hours, and courses where opportunities and better paid people hang out. Let's close every loop. The boots. Cheap is a subscription. Being broke is expensive. Cost per use wins. The science. Scarcity taxes the exact brain you need to escape. And extreme frugality pays that tax voluntarily. The 3 things worth spending on: skills, tools, rooms, the only purchases with no ceiling. The whole video in one sentence. Stop being cheap with your ceiling to protect your floor. Homework. 1 evening, 2 moves. 1. Calculate your real hourly rate and fire yourself from every frugal habit that pays less. And choose 1 skill, tool, or room, and point next month's savings at it. We publish every Thursday. Subscribing costs nothing, takes 1 second, and has, by this video's own math, an infinite return on a 1-click investment.